Between two giant crimson rocks stands a small window to a mythical and mesmerizing world. In fact, it's an orifice resembling what we call a khopo in parts of western Nepal, including Gulmi district. So, first, let's enter into this small world of khopo and what it contains, or used to contain rather, in those good old days. A khopo is a hole, mostly in the inner walls of a traditional house made of what else but mud, stone, timber, and a roof made of slates, zinc sheets, etc., for safely storing things like a bowl of pudding for eating the next day. In other places, there's every chance of a stray cat on the prowl finding it and feasting on that tasty pudding. Rolls of thread with needles inserted in them so as to keep them ready for use for stitching, of course, a bowl containing mustard oil, rolls of cotton for making wicks for those festivals and sacred occasions, so on and so forth. It's no rocket science, therefore, that such holes are so they are closed from outside to block cold winds inside and prevent pests like cats and rats and whatnot from entering the house and wreaking havoc. I mean, Atakatu. You must have heard the word if you are from the villages of Nepal. It may be called, it may have different names in different parts of the country. It's such a diversely beautiful country in terms of social fabric and nature and whatnot, in terms of sweet people, friendly people, and whatnot. So come visit this country once. Uh, this is to people from around the world. Ataktu, plural is takhata. It will scream injustice for not talking about the important place it holds or used to hold in those good old days in traditional houses that used to dot our own home village. I'll show you one of those houses in my very own house if need be in my next presentation or next to next presentation. But then all you have to do is to subscribe to this channel, comment on our presentation, and press that like button if it really touches your hearts and minds. Without your support, it will be quite difficult for us to keep going. So let's continue with this presentation. I was talking about Takhatu and the important place it holds in traditional Nepali households, especially in western parts of Nepal. What is it then uh, that this Takhtu used to be a feature of those traditional houses that used to dot our home village in western parts of Nepal in those good old days. There are still some houses, traditional houses, but they are a fast disappearing lot, especially after the 2015 Gurkha earthquake that shook parts of Nepal vigorously. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's continue to focus on Takhtu, Takhata, that is plural. It is a built-in rack just above a traditional window made of wood in most of the cases. Uh, it, it just forms parts of the house uh, in other places also, not just above the traditional window, but it's a very important part of traditional houses. It forms a small part of those houses, but you keep all sorts of things there. It's bit more spacious, far more spacious, in fact, than the khopo that I was talking about. In our small world, in our small and beautiful world, in those bygone days, French windows were not necessary. It's a small country, it's a small village, and those Takhtu and Takhata and Kopa are also naturally small. The idea behind the windows was to let in the sun and the wind a little bit to avoid catching cold, of course, and let the smoke from fuel wood burning in the hearth out. For that purpose, a small window consisting of small holes, horizontal bars, or two wooden flaps would suffice, especially in a small, usually three-story house. Aged in time and hanging, Tuino comes next. So what is this thing? Again, the word sounds quite familiar, doesn't it? It sounds like twin. Uh, it's a dangerous lifeline, this twin, not twino. This twin is a dangerous lifeline used even for crossing raging rivers and streams in Nepal in the absence of bridges, especially in far-flung areas of the country. During our childhood, Tuino, on the other hand, would be used for hanging clothes. It's a small rope fixed between two poles for hanging clothes. Hanging not so far away from a smoky hearth, the ordeal, imagine the ordeal the good old Tuino must have gone through along with those clothes clinging onto it, literally for survival, lest they fall. Back to the crimson rocks and the small opening. By the way, the crimson rocks and the small opening that I am talking about is in the background of this presentation itself. Through that hole, the rays of the sun stream in, illuminating a magical, mythical, and mystical world, a beautiful world. Through the same hole, a river lives for you don't know where and for what purpose. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Leaving such a wonderful place just like that, like thousands of Nepali youths, must be very hard for a being with a heart. For a being with a heart, it must be very difficult for leaving a place. It must be very difficult to leave a place just like that forever and not to come back. Imagine the nostalgia that such a heart will just harbor. The rivers must have shed an ocean of tears before leaving like thousands of our outbound youths, right? The Lahores of modern times. The magical, mystical, and mythical world came to life recently in the studios of Nepal Art Gallery that hosted Kishore Kayastha's photo exhibition. Photo exhibition titled Mustang, featuring 30 panoramic stills, highlighting a rich and serene interplay of art and technology amid a musical ambience. Some of the shots I'm sharing with you, I just took those shots during my visit to that art exhibition. Snowy mountains, serene monasteries, and whatnot. Sparse vegetation growing in the snow and even Himalayas, bereft of snow and bearing black rock. That was the impression that I got. That were parts of that exhibition that uh, recent. I was talking about the art exhibition titled Mustang. I was talking about snowy mountains, sparse vegetation, Himalayas bearing black rocks due to climate change. Let's continue with that presentation, with that thread. These were like some of the shots that Kishore Kayastha, the photographer, the artist, had taken during his 20-year, what I call, romance with Mustang. This beautiful place, this ancient kingdom of the Ur called Mustang. It strikes a chord with you, doesn't it? It just fires up this place, fires up your imagination, doesn't it? It does. As for me, it does. So I hope that it does for you as well. I was in that exhibition. I just had an eyeful of those beautiful scenes, like frozen in time. Mustang continues to mesmerize one and all travel enthusiasts from around the world. So I was lucky to be there. So let's continue with this presentation. Uh, Mining khopa, as I told you earlier, a literal hole in the wall of those traditional houses in western Nepal, and takhta, built deep inside my cranium and dusting off rusting memories by including shots taken uh, at the exhibition organized at the gallery, at the Nepal Art Council Gallery in Babar Mahal, in partnership with the United States Embassy and Himal Foundation. I tried to paint a picture. I tried my best to present before you a picture, a kaleidoscope, a panoramic vision, if I may, of Mustan, that exotic place, that heaven on earth. But as you know, Mustan is beyond words. It is beyond the interplay of light, angle, perspective, perseverance, and mood. Those fleeting moments. A lifetime, in fact, is not enough to understand Mustan, but Kayastha is at least on a journey to understand that place better. As for me, I have not even embarked on that journey. For lacks of uninitiated, for lacks of uninitiated people like me, a photo exhibition featuring the wonders of Mustang. Such an exhibition can indeed be a good start. There's no doubt about it. 2 decades ago, Mustang came calling. Kayastha responded, and that has made all the difference. To, to paraphrase Robert Frost a bit here, 2 decades ago, I repeat, Mustang came calling. Kayastha, our artist, photographer Kishore Kayastha, responded, and that has made all the difference. Mustang is calling once again. Are you ready for the journey? I leave this presentation with this question hanging. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. I once again request you to just subscribe to our channel, comment on our presentation, and press that like button. Your support means a world to us. In fact, it means an entire universe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.